We know that managing diabetes is more than just food and medication. It's also about handling stress, anxiety, and life's challenges. And that's what we're diving into today. How to strengthen, enhance your coping skills to help you manage stress more effectively and in turn improve your health and reverse your diabetes. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new year, new you. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to put their diabetes in remission, who want to get off of medication, who want to reverse their diabetes. That's what we're doing here on the channel, Dwain Woode MD Live, and I welcome you to the show. If you are new, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that we are happy that you're here. Also, if you're new and you have questions, go ahead and put those in the chat because we'd love to get to those and answer them for you as we go into the course of the evening. Well, we are excited to have community members. We're excited to have you. We're excited to have you if you are new, if you're returning. Thank you for joining us as we move through this amazing series of New Year, New You. Let me just hop over and say hello to some of our community members that I do see out there. Just to say hello, I see, oh wow, so hey Dr. Wood and everyone, Teresa's out there, Steve. Steve says, I have a question, sir. Do you well, I'm gonna hold on to that question. Steve is saying hello. Teresa saying, hey Steve, how you doing? It's great, Teresa. Just love it, love it, love it. Yeah. Welcome to everyone. Wherever you're joining us from, thank you for coming on all the different platforms. And you may have seen some changes in how we are doing things. As you know, we were having some issues with our streaming earlier before. And so we're streaming to YouTube. This will be replayed on our other platforms until we get that straight. But glad that you are here in this space. Let's see. I need to grab something here really quick. Here it is. So glad that you're here in the space just to hang out with us. If you've not done so, remember to get over and watch our show from last week where we introduced this idea of coping. And we're going to continue that process tonight. We'll go ahead and watch that show from last week. And then you guys know how we do what we do when we do here, right? So I've got my reports that we're going to take a look at here in just a minute. As soon as I get that, put up. Let's see. And we'll take a look at my monitors so you guys can see what's been going on with my blood sugars. Let's see. Give me just a second. All right, let's see. That didn't quite work. There it is. Okay, let's start over. All right, there we go. Yeah, you guys know as we do, I've got my my monitor over here that we're going to take a look at. There you go. Got my meters. And then down below, that's my Dexcom Clarity, which we'll take a look at those numbers here in just a minute to see what that's been showing as we move into the evening. And I mentioned also going back and watching our show from last week. All right, well, let's go ahead and let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of the numbers. And on the screen, you'll see this is my my Dexcom G7 that you'll see there. And it says right now my blood sugar was 148. And if we kind of scroll back through the day, so we got up, I think got up to about 200. That was lunch. So right before lunch, we were kind of hanging out in the 1-teens to 120s, 130s. And then I went down to the cafeteria and I had Probably the largest salad I've had in a long time. It was full of all kinds of stuff. And one of the things that I usually don't put in my salads, or I've tried not to put in my salad, is tomatoes. And today I ate probably about 6 or 7 cherry tomatoes and a bunch of ranch dressing. And you see right there, look at that. Up, 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 up. And then I was happy that it got there. And then I went and I started seeing patients. And then this thing started going crazy. And it got up, 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 up. And I was like, okay, it's 150. But then, boom, look at that. Right, 150. And I have mine set right now to alarm at 150. The upper limit of my threshold is 150. And so when it gets to 150, it starts alarming. And right there at 153, it started beeping, beeping, beeping. And that joker climbed all the way up to 200. And so let's see, I had lunch right around 1 o'clock probably. Yeah, because we went to lunch late. Well, 12:30 maybe. Oh, and right now it's 150. So 12:30 was probably when I went to lunch. Let's go back. So right about here. And I had my salad. And then that went all the way up to about 2 o'clock. And then about 2:30 was when it started rising. And by 3, 4 o'clock, we were up in the 200s. And then it took till about, I guess, 6 o'clock maybe for it to come back down. And right now it's 158. So you guys see that. Okay? So just so you can see in real time what happens, right, to blood sugars. And, people sometimes they say to me, hey, well, I didn't think tomatoes can do that to your blood sugar. Well, for me, it does, right? So you guys see that. You guys see that right there. And then let me hop over and let's take a look at my Libre. And I think my Libre is off, so we'll have to kind of wait for it to give us, number. Okay, while we do that, let's go ahead and hop over, and that should come up in just a minute. Let's take a look at my monitors, right? So I always want to know what they are compared to my continuous glucose monitor. And so I've got a Contour and I got a Keto Mojo. Let's take a look at those blood sugars. This is my Contour, and of course my Keto Mojo, and will give me the blood sugar and a ketone. And we'll start off with blood sugar. And you'll see there on the screen my my Libre says that I'm 110. And I want to make a comment about that in just a minute. As soon as I let's see if I got. So I've got some of these other Lancets. All right, so not the blue ones and not the single-use ones. And let's see. So this one, basically, I'm gonna turn this. Let's do this view. All right. So basically, I'm gonna turn this top off. Ow! I stuck myself there. And these, I tend not to. Well, I won't say I don't like them, but I don't, because they're a lot finer than some of the others, and for me, they hurt a little bit more. Yeah, I could feel that right there. Oh. Okay, but that's okay. So anyway, so there is my drop of blood. And one for the Keto Mojo. And go ahead and get another drop out. So 130 is what the Contour says. The Keto Mojo says 143. You'll see on the screen that my Libre says 110. Go ahead and get that ketone going. And then my Dexcom said that I was at 155. So the Dexcom, the Contour, and the Keto Mojo are all in keeping together. And then the odd man out, of course, is the Libre. Okay. Now, I did want to make a comment about the Libre and the Dexcom. If you guys remember, I do wear I've got 2 monitors on, right? So one is a Libre, one is a Dexcom. And I was tending to wear the Libre on my left arm and the Dexcom on my right. And somebody said to me, well, that's not fair because you always wear them in the same spot so that, because remember the Libre was always lower than the Dexcom. And so they say, hey, that's not fair, swap them. So anyway, so I swapped them. And so right now I'm wearing the Libre on the right arm and the Dexcom on the left arm. And you'll see, based on the numbers, the Libre is still lower than the Dexcom. And the Dexcom right now is in keeping with what the other monitors are showing. Okay? Now, what's going to be the true test is when I get my A1C here in a week or two, and we'll see what that is compared to what the numbers are saying. Okay? Because I have not gotten it since the last time. I think it was 6 point, and I forgot what exactly that was. Was it 5.8 or 6.1 or something like that? So we'll get to see what that is, right? And we'll take a look at my report here in just a minute, and we'll kind of see, because I want you to see as the report is giving numbers, how that's going to correlate with what we see when I actually get my labs. Okay. All right. So so tonight we're talking about coping. Talking about coping, and we know that coping is important because when we talk about diabetes, we know the triggers. Well, let me back up. Let me say this. Let me start this way. When I talk to patients, when I talk to clients, when we have discussions, when you send me information, when you send questions, often the questions that I get surround treatment of blood sugars related to a few things. They relate to sleep, they relate to being ill, they relate to going to the gym, they relate to those life things that happen. But for a large number of people, the questions that I get and the issues that we have related to blood sugar has to do with food. What should I eat? What shouldn't I eat? How often should I eat? What combination of the food should I eat? Right? So that's one question that I get. But another set of questions, or not questions, but another set of issues that we see surround how we use food. And one of the major ways that we use food is as a buffer. When it comes to our emotions. Remember the heat model. And the heat model is a direct extension of our interaction with food. And we're going to talk specifically about the E, the emotion in the heat model. So remember, the heat model gives us the triggers that push us to eat. So habits, emotions, access, and taste. And we're going to spend a lot of time talking about the emotion part because the emotion actually covers a lot of the others, or a lot of them are intertwined. So when we talk about the triggers tend to touch us in our emotional interaction with the world. We're sad, we're happy, we're glad, we're mad, all those different things that we see when we talk about emotions. Okay? So what are buffering behaviors? Because there's two ways that we interact with the world. Only two. And they fall generally into these categories, the things that we do. We're either buffering or we're coping. We're either buffering or we're coping. Something happens on the job. You didn't get the promotion that you were looking for. Somebody talked about you. Somebody is mean to you. Someone is not nice to you. Somebody takes a parking spot. Somebody, whatever they do at your job, there are two ways you're going to interact with that person. Or with that situation. I shouldn't even say interact with the person, because not interacting is actually sometimes a buffering behavior. So we either are going to cope with it. We're going to find a way to deal with the situation. Or we're going to buffer, where we remove ourselves, we insulate ourselves, we put up a wall, we put a barrier between us and the emotions that we're going to feel. And in this space, right, because there are lots of different ways to buffer. You can buffer by working too much. You can buffer by spending too much. You can buffer by drinking too much, by using drugs. You can buffer by sleeping too much. You can buffer by becoming hypersexual. Lots of different ways to buffer. In our space, we're talking about buffering with food. But the model that we're talking about can be extrapolated to lots of different areas. In fact, we'll come back later on and we'll talk about, because remember, diabetes, the management of diabetes, and the things that we do that affect our blood sugar has a lot to do with just food. But in this space, we're talking about food. So buffering behaviors are those behaviors that we use to avoid uncomfortable emotions or stress by distracting ourselves. That's what a buffering behavior is. And it's usually something that is immediately, something that immediately insulates us, but in the long run doesn't provide relief and doesn't provide a solution. So emotional eating is a buffering behavior. Binge watching is a buffering behavior. Scrolling on the social media is a buffering behavior. And once again, we buffer because in the short term, we get emotional relief from the discomfort. In that moment, the ice cream soothes us. In that moment, the chocolate helps us. In that moment, the candy or the cookie or the cake or even the pasta puts us in the mood that makes us feel good because we get that immediate burst of dopamine. The problem is that it doesn't address the root cause of the problem, and that leads to long-term stress and health problems. Because if you're emotionally eating, if that's your buffering behavior, if that's your way of quote unquote dealing with the situation over time, because this is not going to be the first time that you have to buffer or you have to deal with that situation. And if every time you deal with the situation you're buffering with emotional eating, guess what happens to your weight? That's right, the weight goes up. And so short term we get benefit, but over the long term it causes us problems. So I said there are two ways. Either we're buffering or we're coping. We're buffering or we're coping. And so what are coping mechanisms? Coping mechanisms are strategies to process and manage the emotions that come from a situation. And we deal with it constructively so that in the long term, we're actually dealing with the problem. Let me say that again. So coping mechanisms are strategies to process and manage emotions constructively so that in the long term, we're finding a solution to the problem that we have that's causing us the issue. So things like mindfulness, things like journaling, things like deep breathing, things like exercise, these are coping mechanisms. Because they allow us to process. We're not avoiding the emotion, and then we come back and we deal with it. And the coping mechanisms work because they help you confront emotions. We're not numbing it, we're not getting rid of it, we're not ignoring it. It helps us to build emotional resilience. And it helps us to make healthier decisions. So our goal is ultimately then is to shift from buffering to coping for long-term well-being. So the goal is to shift from buffering to coping for long-term well-being. And so why do coping skills matter? Why do coping skills matter? When we face stress or emotional challenges, how we react can directly impact our blood sugar levels, our food choices, and ultimately our health outcomes. I'm putting a pin right there. Putting a pin right there. Last week, I was preparing. I think I told you guys I was doing some presentations. So I was preparing for the talks, and things weren't quite going the way I thought they should go. And so I was getting ready to go into a fast. And so I was here, I was preparing my talk, getting my slides together. And so I went into the kitchen and I went to the refrigerator and I didn't see anything that I wanted. So I came back in here, sat down, started working some more. And I got up and I went in the kitchen and I went into the freezer because I remembered there was nothing in the refrigerator that I wanted. So I went into the freezer. There was some chicken that I had done, took it out, put it on the counter. Came back in here, sat down because my brain is now, right? Remember that fight that we have? I shouldn't, right? And so I got back up, went to the kitchen, opened the refrigerator. Hey, there's some cheese in there. So I got the cheese out, put it on the counter. And I forgot I went in and got something else, put it on the counter. And so now I'm really, my brain is now really taking over. And so I go into the kitchen, I'm standing at the island, and I'm taking out the chicken, get ready to warm it up, take the cheese, put it on the plate. And my wife is walking by, and she said, "Hey, what's going on?" And I said to her, these are the words I said to her. I said, "I'm buffering right now." And she says, "Yeah, what's going on?" And so we talked. And I ended up putting the stuff back, put it in the refrigerator, right? So how, when we face stress and emotional challenges, how we react to them directly, in fact, impacts our blood sugar. Because what do you think would have happened if I had eaten, I said cheese and chicken, but there was some other stuff, right, that goes with cheese and chicken. Some rice and some other stuff. So it directly impacts our blood sugar and directly influences our choices. Notice, I didn't go into the kitchen and drink water. I didn't go into the kitchen and get some unsweetened tea. I didn't go into the kitchen and get a piece of meat. I went in the kitchen and got some stuff that had some carbs in it because because my body was telling me I needed something to make me feel good. Buffering behavior. Right? When we don't cope effectively, we turn to buffering behaviors like emotional eating or avoiding the real issue altogether. Right? So that's a thing. When we don't cope, we turn to buffering behaviors. And sometimes we avoid the issue. It's not like we're gonna buffer and then later on we're gonna pick it up. We buffer and then we ignore it. It keeps going on. So these behaviors provide quick relief, but they don't help in the long run. So last week we introduced the COPE. We introduced the COPE model. How do we cope? How are we coping? And we introduced the COPE model as connect, observe, connect, observe, pause, and evaluate, COPE. But we're making a change today. We're refining it because we're refining. And this is a model that we came up with. If you go out, you'll find a COPE model that goes along with mental health and counseling. And we've kind of adopted that and made some changes. So go back and watch the show from last week. The concepts are the same, but we've refined it, enhanced it. And so now I'm presenting to you the new model, and we're going to use this model going forward, the COPE model. And the C stands for clarify. Observe is the O. Pause is the P, and execute Clarify, observe, pause, and execute. So the COPE model gives us strategies to process and manage emotions constructively. That's what it does. Mindfulness, journaling, deep breathing, exercise. Why coping works? Because it helps us to confront emotions, build emotional resilience, and make healthier decisions. And so our goal then, like I said before, is to shift from buffering to coping for long-term well-being. And so the COPE model: clarify, observe, pause, and evaluate. As I said, we are adjusting some of the words, so connect. And so the clarify really is we're connecting to our feelings. We're connecting to our feelings because we want to know what's going on. But I wanted to clarify has a clearer idea, right? So we're clarifying what exactly is going on. We're connecting with ourselves emotionally, physically, mentally. We're connecting, but we want to clarify what we're feeling, clarify what's going on in our body. And then we observe ourselves in that space. We pause, and we'll talk about some other words that go with pause, and then we execute. And after we execute, we still have to evaluate. Okay, so cope. So clarify. In the clarifying step, we identify the trigger and how our body is reacting to it. You made a presentation at work, and your boss says, this presentation needs improvement. What was the trigger? The trigger was the statement from the boss. How did the body respond? My heart rate went up. My hands got moist. My breathing increased. Right? So what was going on? Now I'm at the refrigerator and I'm getting ready to grab something out of the refrigerator. Is it that I'm hungry? Pause. Right? What is going on? So we're clarifying what happened. The O is to observe. So we step back and we name the emotion without judgment. Right now, I'm feeling embarrassed because my boss said my presentation needed whatever. And we're not saying I feel embarrassed and I'm a bad person for feeling embarrassed. I'm not saying that I'm mad and I'm a bad person for feeling mad. I'm not saying that I am sad, I'm lonely, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'm worried, and I'm a bad person for feeling that way. Oh, why should I feel that way? Oh, that didn't mean anything. Oh, he didn't mean anything like that. We're not doing that. We're just observing it without judgment. We clarified what the trigger was. The boss said something. My heart rate went up. And I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling embarrassed. And then we pause. We pause to decide what action we are going to take. What action are we going to take in this process? Because normally we eat. As a matter of fact, that's why you're standing in the front of the refrigerator. That's why the bowl of ice cream is there. That's why the cookie is in your hand. That's why you're making that pasta right now. That's what we normally do. But we're going to pause. And we're going to decide what action are we going to take aside from that eating. And then once we take the action, then we're going to execute. So you take a moment to better understand what's going on. You execute it, you implement it, and then you stand back and say, okay, how did that work? Okay, step one, clarify. This is all about understanding what's triggering your emotions. So the questions we're going to ask here is, what just happened that triggered this feeling? Whatever the feeling is. I don't know what the feeling is, but I know that that happened and now I'm standing in front of the refrigerator. I know that that happened and now I am in front of the vending machine. I know that that happened and right now I'm on my way to Walmart or Sam's or Costco or Publix or Kroger or whatever your store is, and I'm getting ready to go into the ice cream part and I'm going to get me some Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I'm not sure why that came to my mind, but I'm just saying. So what just happened that triggered this feeling? I just had a conversation with my wife. I just had a conversation with my doctor. I just had a conversation with my husband, my children. I just found out that my mom is da da da. I just found out that that I've got to pay money for whatever it is. What just happened that led to this? And how is my body reacting to it? I'm clarifying. Because I know it's not hunger. I just had dinner. We just sat down. We just got up from the table. I feel full. I still feel full. My stomach is stretched. It's only been an hour and a half. I know it can't be hunger. So what just happened that triggered this? And how is my body reacting? My ears are hot. I can feel my heart beating faster. My breathing is increased. I feel tension around my neck. I've got a headache. I'm feeling exhausted. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling drained. What just happened and how is my body responding to it? So we're clarifying, right? And we're connecting to ourselves. That's why that connect part that we talked about last week was so important. We're basically checking in with ourselves. Where am I mentally? Where's my brain? What am I thinking about? How am I feeling emotionally? Am I feeling drained? Am I feeling hurt? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling happy? Right? So we're starting to put words. And we'll come to that in just a minute. How's my body doing? And then we observe and name the emotion. This means taking a step back, identifying the specific emotion that you're feeling. What am I feeling right now? I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling disappointed. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling angry, anxious, frustrated. And I'm not putting a judgment to my feeling. I'm just identifying what I'm feeling. You're not a bad person because you feel that way. You're not a hypocrite because you feel that way. You're not weak because you feel that way. You feel the way you feel. And I'm putting a name to it because when I could name it, I have a better understanding of what's going on. And I said I was going to put together a list of feeling words. Right? My wife and I went to a marriage seminar years ago, and they gave us a list of feeling words. Because sometimes we don't know what that feeling is. We don't know we don't know a word to put to it. So I want to name the feeling without judgment, without talking about what I am because I feel that way. That's not the point of this. I'm going to observe and we're going to name the emotion. And then number 3, we're going to pause, we're going to process, and we're going to pick, right? So pause is the P, by the way. But we added a couple of other P's in there. Now, here's where the real power comes in. Because remember, ordinarily, we're just doing it. We're just, something happened, and we're in the refrigerator eating ice cream. Something happened, and I'm eating cookies. Something happened, and I'm cooking pasta. Something happens in my car, driving across town to get some Krispy Kreme or Dunkin' Donuts, depending on where you live. I'm in the car, getting ready to go down to the grocery store to pick up whatever. But here, there's a fork in the road now. I've clarified what was going on. It's not that I'm hungry. It's that something happened. I had a conversation. I got a phone call. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling tired. I've named it. And now I'm pausing in the process. I'm breaking the cycle. I'm breaking the cycle because normally it's automatic. So I'm breaking the cycle now by pausing, giving my brain a moment, and I'm processing what's going on, and I'm picking a response. Whoa, 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 whoa. I love this one. So notice the power. So what we've got to do now, right? Picking a response. Notice there's not just one response. So this is the beauty. This is the power that comes into this step. So now we get to go into our bag of responses and pick a response that's appropriate, that we like, that we've practiced, that we've used, that we know works. Right? That's a whole nother show. Right? What's in my bag? So we're picking a response. And the question we're asking is, how do I want to respond to this emotion? Notice, I'm not talking about responding to the trigger. I'm talking about my personal response to the emotion that I'm feeling. Because the thing happened, it triggered me for a reason. It created an emotion, and the emotion is driving what I'm about to do. So I'm going to deal with this. How do I respond to this? Because something happens, but there is no meaning to it until I put meaning to it, and that elicits the emotion. And so the question I have right now is, what is a healthier way to handle this thing? Because normally I would eat. Normally I would buffer. But now I'm transitioning from buffering to coping. And I'm taking a pause. I've processed what I've felt so far. I've processed what's going on in my body. I've processed the trigger for it. And now I am picking a response that's healthier than what I would have done. Beautiful, beautiful. And then once I've done that, I'm going to execute. I've picked a response. I put my hand in my bag of responses, and I've pulled out one of the tools that I have in there, and I'm going to use that tool now as a response. We're taking action. Because there's no point in going through the process if we're not taking action. We're taking action on this thing. Otherwise, guess what's going to happen? We're heading right back into our buffering behavior. And that buffering, if we don't deal with it, if we don't take some action, guess what? It's coming back around, and we begin buffering again. So we're taking action. And then once we've taken action, then the question the question is going to come, did this response help me manage my emotions? Did it help me manage? Did it take me down a different path? Did that path work for me? And ultimately, the question is about the food, right? Because remember, we're talking about diabetes here. You could extrapolate this to lots of different areas, but here specifically, we're talking about diabetes. Did it help me not to eat that food? Did it help me not to eat the ice cream? Did it help me not to have the cookie when I knew I wasn't hungry, but I was using the cookie and the ice cream and the candy and the cake, and we're eating the juice. We're using it to buffer, and now I've chosen to cope with it. Did it work? If it did, great, check mark. What helped it work? What did it do for me? What was the power in it? Right? These are all questions, and we're not going to spend time going through all of that right now. But what can I learn from this experience? So I've learned that I can have something that triggers me, that causes me to be mad, to be angry, to be frustrated, to be whatever the feeling is, the emotion is. I can have something that causes that, and I don't have to eat as a response to it. That's one of the things I learned. Mhm. Isn't that amazing? So the remember that inner coach and the inner critic, coach and critic? Now the inner coach has some data. So the next time that you get angry and your brain says, let's go eat, the coach can say, no, 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 no. Remember that last time when we got angry and we processed it and we dealt with it and we were successful? We don't have to eat as a response. That's the beauty. Because now we've given the coach something strong that the coach, the inner coach, can use for us. So what can I learn? What can I learn from that experience? So how do we practice cope daily? One, we identify the trigger and how our body is responding, how our body is reacting. When you're standing in front of a refrigerator, when you've got that plate of food, begin asking yourself, is this really hunger, or am I responding, reacting to something? All right, so we're going to clarify it. What's going on? What really is going on? How am I feeling? My heart rate is high. My breathing is uneven. I feel tension. I feel pain. I feel headache. I feel nauseated. Let's do a quick exercise. Right? I want to do something here quickly with you. So I want you to sit down. Hopefully you're sitting in your chair. Okay? And I want you to take your hands. I want you to make a fist in both hands. Hold them up. And I want you to tense your shoulders. Squeeze your shoulders up. Right? And then I want you to let go. Okay? And once again, we're going to make a fist. We're going to tense our shoulder. We're going to squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, and I'm going to let go. Make sure your feet are flat on the ground. And then I want you to imagine that you're able, right, to move different parts of your body. And you can move your forehead, right? And you're going to elevate your eyebrow and your forehead. You're going to tighten it up as tight as you can. You're going to hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, and you're going to release it. You're going to tighten it up, raise your eyebrow, tighten your forehead, tight, 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 hold it, hold it, hold it, and you're going to release it. We're going to move down to the ears. Pretend that you're pushing your ears up. And you're going to hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, and you're going to release it. Again, pushing your ears up, 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 hold, 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 and we're going to release. We're going to come down to the neck and the shoulders. And I'm going to tense that up and hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, and we're going to release it. Again, we're going to tense up the shoulders. Tense, 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 hold, 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 release. And down lower in the arms. We're going to tighten the arms. Tighten, tighten, tighten. Hold, 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 hold. And release. Again. Tight, 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 tight. Hold, hold, hold. Release. And my chest. Right? I'm going to try to tense my chest muscles as much as I can. Hold, 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 hold. Release. Again, we're going to do it. Tense, 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 tense. Hold, hold, hold. Release. My belly, my belly. I'm going to push it out. I'm going to tense it. I'm going to hold it. Tense it. Tense, tense, tense. Hold, 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 hold. And release. Again, tense, tense, tense. Tighten it up. Tighten it. Push it out. Put it out. Oh, hold it and release. My hips, my hips, my hips, my hips, my hips. You can, if you want, you can put your arms, put your hands against your hips, against your thighs, and press your thighs out. All right, try to tense up your hips and hold, 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 and release. Again, let's do it one more time. Tense, 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 hold, 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 release. We're going to move down to the mid-thigh. All right, push your hand. Put your hands against your outside of your thighs and push your thighs against your hand and tense, 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 tense. Hold, 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 hold. We're going to release. Right? The back of the legs, your calves. Right? Push your hands against the calf and try to push your calves against your hand and hold it. Tense, 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 tense. Oh, and release. And down to your ankles, right? Pull your legs up, right? One at a time. Tense, 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 hold, and release. Same thing on the other side. Tense, 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 hold, and release. And then your fingers, right? I want you to try to see if you can just hold them up like this and as tense as you can. Hold, 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 and release. Again, hold, 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 and release. Now, I want you to remember what that felt like as you move through your body, right? What the shoulders felt like when they were tense. What the forehead and the eyebrow felt like when they were tense. The ears and the chest and the stomach when you pushed it out. What did that feel like? And the thighs when you try to push against your hand. What did that feel like? And then I want you, as you are experiencing these things, when you're triggered, I want you to begin doing a body scan. Right? Just like we went through. Do a body scan. Start from the top of your head. How's my eyebrows feeling? My eyes, my ears, my neck, my shoulders. Is it tense? Is it tight? My shoulders, my legs, my chest. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, my chest is tight. Okay, I'm feeling it there. And my stomach, my hips, my thighs, my legs. Right? Do a body scan and figure out where are you feeling the emotions that are coming from that trigger. And we'll come back later and we'll show you, we'll talk about how to release some of that, right? And then we're going to step back and say, okay, this thing happened. I had this argument. And I feel that in my shoulders and I feel it in my stomach, right? The shoulders tend to symbolize tenseness and the stomach tends to symbolize anxiety, right? When you get that churning in your stomach, anxiety, right? So I'm tense and I'm anxious. Right? When my heart is beating fast and my breathing is uneven and I feel like my ears are hot, I'm feeling angry or frustrated. Right? When my shoulders are droopy and my stomach is churning, I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling depressed. Right? See, knows what we're doing. We're feeling where that is and we're putting those words. And then we're going to pause. We're not going to go to the refrigerator. We're not going to drive to the store. We're not going to pick up the cookies. We're going to pause. We're going to process. And we're going to pick one of those things that we're going to learn in our bag. Right now, you have a couple of things. Emotional intelligence. You have mindfulness. Right? You have a community around you. And that's what you're going to use to respond. And then you're going to execute. You pick up the phone and call a friend. You're going to go for a walk. You're going to journal. If you play the piano, play an instrument, you're going to go play the instrument. That's also another process, right? So you're going to do something different than you normally do. And then you're going to come back and say, hey, okay, how did that work? Did it work for me? Did it actually do for me what I thought it should have done? So we're coping, we're clarifying, observing, pausing, processing and picking, and then we're executing the COPE model. We'll come back and we'll do more in each of these areas as we talk about the COPE model and how we apply that to the process of reversing diabetes. This is where a lot of people will have their issues. So it's not that they don't know what to do. It's not that they don't want to do the things they should do, but they don't have good coping skills. And the COPE model is a way of allowing you, giving you a structure. Remember, as I've always said, sometimes we don't succeed, not because we don't have the desire or the drive or the idea of what to do. We don't succeed because we don't have a process. And so the COPE model gives us the process to be able to handle that. Awesome. All right. So let's see. We got some folks out there. I said to Teresa, hey, Pamela. Pamela says, hello, everyone. Glad that you're here. She says, how is everybody doing tonight? Teresa says, good. Teresa said, thank God for the wife. That is true, Teresa. Thank God for the wife. Because had she not come by, y'all, it would have been on. What is that? On like Donkey Kong? Anyway, sorry. All right, so let's take a look at my Let's take a look at my report. What do you think my ketones are going to be, by the way? So we'll come back to that. But what do you think my ketones are going to be? So let's take a look at my report, which you'll see right down below. And then it'll come up here in a big screen in just a minute. Let's do this one. Boom. I like this. I like this view. You guys get to see me right here. Hey. That's kind of this one. Right, see right there. All right. So my blood sugar my average blood sugar is, let's see. Yeah, 126 average blood sugar. Yay! I love it. I usually tell people between 100 and 120. Okay, 100 and 120. And I'm time in range. Sorry, in range is 92%. Range being anywhere from 70 to 180. Now, let me make a comment about that, because many people will see their time in range and it'll be 100%. It'll be 99%. But their A1C will come back and the A1C will be something higher than they anticipated. And they say, well, wait a minute. My average was in the target range for 99% of the time. It was in the green, right? Because that's what this says right here. It's in the green. Why is my A1C not lower? And the A1C is not lower because look at the range of this. So if you have an average blood sugar that is 70, right? If you have an average blood sugar that's 70, your A1C is going to be like 5 or less. And that's in the range. But if you have an average blood sugar that's 179, then your A1C is going to be 8 or 9, and that's in the range. So just because it's green and it's in the range doesn't mean that it's in the numbers that you want. You want an average blood sugar between, let me see if I can write on this, 100 to 120, 125. And if you get that average, regardless of what this green thing says, then you will have A1C that is in the target, and that is 6.5 or less. So unless your blood sugar itself is in that range, 100 to 120, 125, then your A1C is going to be higher. Okay, so that's sometimes a little confusing to folks. So let's go ahead and let's take a look. This is my 2-week average. Here is my 90-day average. It's probably going to be like 130 or something. Yeah, 134. Okay, and I'm in the target range 86% of the time. And my target, once again, is 170 to 180. It says that my glucose management indicator is 6.5. So if I were to get an A1C, then that would approximate what my A1C was. So we'll see that here, and I'll share it with you guys here in a couple weeks. I think, yeah, am I getting to maybe three weeks or so? I'm supposed to get blood work, but we'll talk more about that. So let's take a look at my daily graphs. And this will show you what my blood sugar has been doing over the last several days. Let's see. So let's start with Friday. So if you remember Friday, I ended the fast right in here somewhere, I think. Right, so 72 hours. Actually, it was 75 hours, I believe. Right, so right in here somewhere. But anyway, my blood sugar was 190s to 110, and as I ate, it went up. And so Friday, I think the highest it got up to 120, and then Saturday in the 110s, 130s, and as I continue eating lunch, 150s, 160s. 186. That was right after lunch, I believe. And then down, 140s, 150s. And then all Sunday, we're in the 150s, 140s. And then right here, this is an apple. right here. This is an apple and apple and what else? Apple and almonds and cashews. Yeah, apple, almonds, and cashews. Look at that. Okay. And then back down. And then, of course, today, all day, it was in the 120s, 130s. And then after lunch, that big salad. And next time, I'm going to take a picture of the salad so you guys can see. All right. Boom, boom, boom. And so we got up to about 200 and some, and then started coming back down. And right now, let's see, what are we on the? We're 139 on the actual monitor itself, and then of course here on the report, because it doesn't give me up to where we are right now. So 158. That was at 7 o'clock. Okay. All right, and then let's hop over and let's take a look at what my ketones are, and I'm going to say they're actually below 0.5 if I had to guess. If you're fasting right now and you're checking ketones, what do you think your ketones are? Tell us what your ketones are. Let's go here, yeah. So let's go ahead and turn this guy on. And then let's sync. So Steve says he thinks my ketones are going to be 0.7. Let's see. And drum roll, please. And my ketones. Yeah, so blood sugar is 143 and ketones are low. All right, ketones are low. Let me get rid of this and we can get in there. Yeah, there you are, low. So when we talk about ketones, ketones that are less than 0.5 are considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis. And above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. And Steve's just put in, he says that his ketones are 2.2. So he's remaining in ketosis. Yeah, good for you, Steve. Okay. Awesome. All right, so let's answer. I think we had a question up here somewhere. So Teresa says, I have a question, sir. Do you think that I should have an endocrinologist to head up my diabetes? Or do you think a primary care doctor is sufficient? Yeah, this is always an interesting one, right? So I'm going to answer this in two ways. Right now, there are not enough endocrinologists in the country to take care of all the people who are diabetic. So by virtue of that, there's a whole host of folks who are going to be taken care of by primary care physician. And we have some amazing primary care physicians out there. So my hat's off to you, because you're on the front lines, to my primary care folks. Whenever I give talks, whenever I do presentations, the first thing that I start off with is by thanking the primary care docs. Whether you're an actual physician or you're a nurse practitioner, physician's assistant, medical assistant, whatever your role is, I always want to thank you and thank the folks for my audience who's listening. That is amazing, right? Because there are right now over 37 million people in the United States that are diabetic. There are a host, over 80 million that are pre-diabetic. There is no way that the number of endocrinologists that we have in the country can take care of all those people. So let me start there. I get sent to my office the people who the primary care doc is having some challenges with. And when I say challenges, the primary care docs know what they're doing, but they need additional help. And so I get those folks. So when people walk through my doors, I'm not getting the guy whose A1C is 6.9 who's interested in getting it down to 6.2. I'm getting the gal whose A1C is 14, who A1C is 12, A1C is whatever, and they're on a bunch of insulin, or they don't want to be on insulin, or they're having complications, so those are the people I get. So I often tell people when they walk into my office and they say, "Hey, let me go home and exercise." Right? They come in, their A1C is 11, 12, 13, and their offer to me is, I don't want to be on medicine. I don't want to do this. Let me go home and exercise and let me improve my diet and I'll come back and I'll fix it. And my answer to them is, I'm not the place. This is not the place for that. Because when you show up at my doors, you didn't show up at my doors for me to send you home to go exercise. You showed up at my doors because the boat is leaking. The house is on fire. The ship is about to sink. And your doctor says, "Hey, let me send you to the expert. Let me send you to the guy who does this as a living." And when you come in, so my job is to stop the ship from going down. Now, we are going to talk about exercising. We're going to talk about eating. We're going to talk about all the stuff that you hear me talk about here on the show. But the very first job is not to help you to eat salads. The very first job is to stop the boat from going down. Now, once we've stabilized you, then we can talk about all the little nuanced things that we want to do and so on and so forth. So just so you understand. Now, long way to answer your question, Teresa. So I think there's a place for primary care doctors. I wish I could take care of everybody, but there's not enough of me, and there's not enough endocrinologists to take care of everybody. So I would say talk with your primary care or your healthcare team, and say to them, "Hey, do you think I need to see an endocrinologist?" Or if you want to see an endocrinologist, say to them, "Hey, I would like to see an endocrinologist," and talk about why you want to see an endocrinologist. And you will find that they are very open to have that discussion. And they may say, "Hey, you're right. Yeah, we need to get somebody in here to help us out." Okay? All right. And then let's see. Pamela had a question. She says, "What platform does the community meeting happen? I signed up but never got an information about it." Yeah, so very good question. And so right now we are meeting on Zoom. And let me go ahead and I'll put that. There is the Zoom meeting. If you, right, you should have already signed up. If you signed up, then you should get a reminder, and that's coming up. Let's see, when is it? That should be coming up here pretty soon. The 4th week. When is that? It's calendar. Hey, that's this week. That's on Thursday, the 26th. Right, 26th at 7 o'clock. So Thursday at 7 p.m. Okay, so you should get a reminder on that, but that's the link. Okay. But so everybody knows, and I think I mentioned this in our last community meeting. We're working on moving that to a different platform. It hasn't, quite happened yet, but it's in the works. Let's see. So Pamela says, "I'm thankful that I'm a patient of yours. It is making a great difference in my life, and I appreciate you." Oh, Pamela, thank you so much. I was on another show, and the guy said, "Anytime you say something nice, you're gonna get music." So I'm giving Pamela music. She said, "I signed up, but I never got a reminder." Now, I did get an email, because whenever people sign up, it sends an email. And Pamela, I did get an email. I think it was like 2-3 weeks ago when I put that in the chat. And I did get a message that you had signed up. So let me go back over here. Where's my email? Yeah, I think there were, on that show, probably 3 or 4 people that signed up that night from the show. So, trying to see if I could find those. But anyway, I did get a message from you. But if you still didn't get one, you can go ahead and sign up again. But that's the link that I just put in the chat. Okay. All right. So let's see. Let's go over and. Last night I did a conversation. I did a show where I was talking to some folks about unlimited potential. how we educate, we empower, we encourage, right? You have at your fingertips the ability to right now effect change in your metabolic health, effect change in your diabetes health, effect change in your wellness. You have unlimited potential. You have the ability to do that, and we do that through the Triple E formula for success: education, empowerment, and encouragement. We educate with the shows that we do, the blogs, the podcasts. All of that is with the idea of educating and creating a frame shift, a mindset change, because it takes a mindset change to implement the things that we talk about. Do you know what it's like in the moment of wanting to eat that ice cream to pause and not eat ice cream and go through the cope? Yeah, I've been using the cope with my patients. I've been using the cope myself. And it takes practice. That first time, guess what? You're going to eat the ice cream. You're going to eat the cookie. You're going to eat the candy. And that's why I tell people, don't fight it. Begin applying the process. It's kind of like when you start a new job, right? They teach you, and then they have you practice. Like somebody shows you how to do it, then they watch you do it, then you do it, and then pretty soon you're on your own. So they don't just walk in one day and just put you on wherever you're going to be. But we expect to be able to do that in our metabolic history and metabolic life and our diabetes life. No, it's not going to. You've been doing what you've been doing for 40, 30, 50, 60 years sometimes. And it's not going to happen tomorrow. But the more you do it, the better it is. So we educate, we empower with the tools. Like we just learned the COPE model. That's another tool. We learned the HEAT model, emotional intelligence, mindfulness, how to create a meal. All of those are tools that we're learning, and that's the empowerment that you get. And then we encourage with the community that we're doing, the community that you're part of, community that you're building, the community meetup that we're going to have here later this week. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. Remember the things that push us off of our eating plan, those triggers that come about. They are the things that will derail us, the habits that we form, the routines when we eat just because it is when we eat. We're not hungry. We eat because of emotions. We're happy, we're sad, we're tired, we're bored, we're frustrated, all those things, and that's what the COPE model addresses. We eat because of access, because things are just around us. So this is a good reason to clean up our environment. Remember we did a show about cleaning up our home in terms of our food and our jobs and our communities. Clean it up so that when you have a moment, when you're being pushed, when you're being triggered, if that thing wasn't there, guess what? You wouldn't be able to eat it. But because it's there, the access is available, you get the emotion, and the natural process now is to go eat it. But the COPE helps us to clarify, observe, pause, process, and pick a new way of doing it, and then executing that, and then looking to see what benefit we had. And then taste. The perfect combination of sugar, salt, and fat, the bliss point that says when you eat this, you can't just have one. You're going to have to come back. What the manufacturers count on. It reminds us of that place that we went when we ate that thing and we felt that way. And when we eat the food, it brings that back to our memory. It puts us in a space where we feel good. We're buffering with food. The HEAT model. When you show up in this space and when you show up in our community, we want you to get involved. Don't just let these shows be something that's on the counter, right, that you listen to, but jump in there. We've got challenges that we do every single month. And we'll have more challenges coming out in other forms. But jump in. Get in there. Get involved. Every month we have a challenge. And our challenge for this month, let me go back over there. Our challenge for this month is to figure out what one of your non-negotiables is. I will get up in the morning every day for the next week. I will not eat anything with added sugar for the next week. I will not eat ice cream. I will not, blah, blah, blah. I will apply the COPE model. I will observe the HEAT model. I will become more emotionally intelligent. I will journal for the next week. What's your non negotiable? What's the thing that you're going to do that begins to set yourself up for success? That's our challenge for this month. So when you show up, make sure that you are joining the challenges. And then tell your story. Claim your seat. Say, I'm here. I'm fasting. I'm getting good benefit. My A1C is better. My weight's gone down. I'm sleeping better. I am off of medication. My doctor says that my blood pressure is better. My cholesterol has gone down. My labs have improved. My metabolic disease, my metabolic milieu, my polycystic ovarian syndrome. I've gotten pregnant. Share your story. Because when we see you succeeding, then we know we can succeed. And if you're having challenges, don't hide that. That's what the community is for. Let us know so that we can rally around you. We can support you to let you know that you're not alone, because we're right there with you. Because we may have just done the same thing last night or today or even before we got on the show. And then invite somebody to the space. There are over 1 billion people on the planet with either diabetes or pre-diabetes. You can be a voice for change that says, hey, we don't have to go out like this. Our family doesn't have to keep dying from heart disease. Our family doesn't have to keep dying from complications of diabetes. We don't have to continue going blind. We don't have to continue having heart disease. We don't have to continue having cancers and fatty liver. We don't have to continue being obese. You can be the voice of change in your family, in your community, in your doctor's office, at your church, somewhere. Say to somebody, hey, come, let's go do this together. There are so many different playlists that we have. How to reverse your diabetes. I think there are 38 or 39 videos in there. Those are the steps that we've been walking through this year. New year, new you. Mastering diabetes. An informational playlist that talks about the different types of diabetes, what the complications are of diabetes. They're all out there. And then, of course, how to fast successfully. On the website, share that information. It's a resource that's there for you. And then, of course, join the community meetup, y'all. Right? When you get a chance, we get to talk. Right? We go around and we find, hey, what's going on in your life right now? What do we need to address for you? How can we help you? And then remember our pillars for reversing diabetes. We decrease our insulin, we suppress our appetite, and we reduce sugar. And the tool that we've been using, one of the tools, is fasting, because it hits all of those. But remember, you have unlimited potential. I'm always happy when I get a chance to hang out with you in this space. We're going to be doing a check-in coming on later on this week. We're going to do our videos from the vault on Saturday at 9 p.m. Central. Then this week in review on Sunday at 7 a.m. Central. And then back next week for Dwain Woode MD Live. But I look forward to seeing you at our community meetup on Thursday at 7 p.m. Central and our check-ins later this week. As always, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health in your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new you. Good night, everybody. We'll see you later this week.